Okay, I think we're ready to go. Our speaker is online, and I'd like to invite Patrice Henning from Raymond James to come up to introduce our next speaker. Thank you.
Thank you, Charlotte, and everyone that's taken time to attend what I believe is the most important event of District 5450 each year, the WASH Symposium that reaches out to just an expansive group of international people that are pursuing the connection of clean water, proper sanitation, and hygiene to the world. I'm representing Raymond James Investment Management today, formerly Carillon Capital. It gives me great pleasure to represent them, as we really are on parallel avenues. Environment, social, governance issues are becoming more and more a predominant value that investors have. And Raymond James Wealth Management actually represents ESG fundamentals, and they require many companies and monitor those companies to make certain that they are contributing in a higher fashion to quality environmental concepts, that their governance issues replicate good quality values for their employees, and also social responsibility. As an advisor with Raymond James, I partner with Raymond James Investment Management, and unfortunately, my partner was not able to be here today. He's in Florida with the realignment and branding of the new name. I also feel like Sister Lorraine is a kindred spirit. I attended 18 years of Catholic education, just recently completing my master's degree with St. Mary's University of Minnesota. And as I read Sister Lorraine's bio, I couldn't help but dig just a little deeper. So I'd like to tell you a little bit about how I believe Sister Lorraine is a kindred spirit to me. Sister Lorraine tells this great story of when she was a young girl and she was out with her mother, and she noticed that there were these little turtles for sale, and they were in these little metal containers, and she wanted to raise enough money to release all the turtles. It kind of reminded me of the day that I got into a lot of trouble feeding a cat in Virginia Beach and dumping out the gallon of milk because I could barely tip it. Sister Lorraine is from the Order of the Ursuline Sisters of Mount St. Joseph. I think that's really important with my Catholic background to know exactly the name of the order. She serves as co-founder and current executive director of Water with Blessings, an ecumenical US-based 501c3 with a mission of clean water for God's thirsty children. That really struck me. She's been an environmentalist, a seeker of sustainability all of her life. This flagship program that she co-founded is equipping, empowering, and trusting to serve communities, specifically water women since 2008. She has a very robust management and monitoring system to track how these filters are impacting a reduction in childhood diarrhea. The Water Women movement has grown exponentially since the first 10 Honduran women in 2008. And as she explains in her podcast that I hope you go back and listen to because it's so inspiring, they have served over 145,000 people. It started as a dream, and it wasn't easy. And I'm sure many of you in this room have a dream to serve and bring clean water to people throughout the world. She talks about the fact that the first filter really wasn't the answer. That was really inspiring to me. My colleague Bob can also acknowledge not having something work the first time. They are in now over 48 countries, and by including the original Honduran recipients and local leaders in the program design, Sister arrived at a service model program which draws on the great untapped resources for sustainable development. why we have our international guests on the line with us today, our partners from other countries across the world. In addition to her love for environmental service and sustainability, Sister Lorraine's previous service experience includes the fields of education, pastoral ministry, as well as music. Please help me welcome Sister Lorraine Louder.
Hello, thank you. I'm coming to you live from Kentucky at a powwow that we're actually conducting. And I'm a little concerned that we have a lot of feedback over all of a sudden. Is that better?
Yes, I just wanted to say, if anybody is on their computer on Zoom in the room, could you please make sure that you're muted? Okay. Sorry about that. Thank you, Sister Lorraine.
Hey. All right, and I'm sorry about this. Although we are actually conducting our first annual intertribal water gathering, which focuses on our work with Indigenous peoples. And so that has been a major endeavor of ours over the last few months, and that's going live this weekend right here. Indigenous peoples all over the world are especially dear to our mission because we see that often they are the last to receive services or to see any kind of solutions. I see now that we're screen sharing. Okay. And I wanted to just call this another way to wash, because I believe that among all the many excellent wash solutions that are out there, there's one that is perhaps largely overlooked, and because it is a challenge to make it work. But we're confident, we know from our own experience that when we can make it works beautifully, and it's worked beautifully for Water with Blessings. Could I have the next slide, please? Or am I able to change those slides? Not sure who's changing my slides. Okay, so you know, we have very high standards. We are WASH people, and we want every solution to be WASH worthy. So we're not messing around, any of us who are here in the symposium. We know that water is critical. We know that dirty water is undermining every other intervention, every other need out there, and that there's limited resources, that in the face of a huge need. And so we want to create solutions that are WASH worthy. Can I have the next slide, please? Could I have the next slide, please? Okay. So really, for Water with Blessings, the challenge has been, is it possible to say that, can we go back one slide, please? Whether point of use household can actually be a serious WASH solution. And there's a lot of debate out there about that. We know that. And yet the populations, the peoples that we work among as Water with Blessings, and again, largely Indigenous groups, but also you know, many other peoples across these 48 countries, that household solutions are really critical if we're going to include the most far-flung, the most difficult to reach, the least likely to be impacted in the near future. As you and I all know, a child dies roughly every 8 seconds or so because of dirty water, and that's preventable. A lot of our WASH solutions take a lot of time to implement, and they get us to an ideal, and that's a wonderful thing. But in the meantime, at Water with Blessings, what we've learned is that a household solution can be a serious WASH solution, and it can get people to clean water very, very quickly. Next slide, please. So for that, we're looking for solutions that are sustainable and scalable and impactful. You know, those are among our kind of gold standards as wash folks here. Sustainable, we want things that can be that will endure and that will persist. We want solutions that are reliable to go on for years. We want solutions that are scalable. We want solutions that we can get up to a large number. We want to get up to impact at a point that makes a difference. It truly makes a difference. So Water with Blessings, we're thinking large scale for a human solution. Next slide, please. So to do that, our secret sauce, and unfortunately I'm seeing there's some kind of glitch here in this photo, you would see a woman, a mother, with a filter and with a child. And that illustrates that what we do, what we see as the solution is women, is mothers. So we equip and we empower. Lots of people say we equip and empower, but we also entrust. We equip, empower, and entrust mothers as water women who are going to filter water for their communities. Next slide, please. So is that even possible? And this is a kind of a bold question to put out there. Are household women wash-worthy? Can household women be a wash-worthy solution? And I'm saying that in a kind of a bold way because so much of the conversation that I get into with folks around WASH presumes that WASH solutions have to be in the hands of people who have a certain amount of power and have a certain amount of education and training, and that they have to be engineer run, so to speak. And that can be quite a challenge, you know? And so what we've come to understand is that at the household level, when we work with women who are highly motivated, that's mostly mothers with toddlers. A mother with a toddler, a mother with an infant is now hardwired for the survival of that child. And so when we're working with women like that, we're able to bring them into a wash-worthy solution that's going to really make a difference for their communities. And it's going to be scalable and it's going to have big impact. Next slide, please. So again, is that a wash-worthy solution? Here you see one of our water women, we call them, in Cambodia. And as we go through here, the other pictures, I think you might notice the common body language among women around the world, around mothers, as they give water to their children. This is something that we're touched by over and over. That common body language, that common careful, loving attentiveness in giving a drink of water to a young child. Next slide, please. So again, can that be sustainable, scalable, and impactful at the household level? That's the challenge. Next slide, please. Another. So Water with Blessings, we can go back, please. We say yes, if there is wash-worthy programming. So we've been talking about wash-worthy solutions. To get to solutions that really help us achieve WASH goals, then we've got to go for wash-worthy programming. And this is something that I would just, I've noticed many times that in our larger and smaller scale solutions, we can overlook the importance of programming. Programming is very expensive. Programming takes more time. There's time and energy expense as well as financial expense in programming. And it tends to kind of go by the wayside in many situations. It can be really tricky to pull off. Next slide, please. And we also need wash-worthy technology. We have to have wash-worthy technology. At the household solution, many times we're looking at technology that's not meeting the same standards as large-scale programs, large-scale construction and the development of infrastructure. And yet there is a way to do that at the household level. And for us, that's hollow fiber membrane technology. And we're very satisfied with Sawyer. So that's the filter you see there. That's the filter that we use. It's hollow fiber membrane technology for our wash-worthy technology. Next slide, please. So let's talk about really our way to wash. Takes us beyond just the technology. Next slide. Our way to wash is about empowering women. And I love this picture. Took this picture years ago in Haiti. This is a woman who is empowered for sure. She is giving her daughter the first drink of truly reliable, safe drinking water that child has had since she was weaned. And her whole body, her whole demeanor says, I've got this. I can do this. And I can keep doing this. In Haiti, the idea of women as heroes can be a little challenging sometimes, because the heroes of the Haitian Revolution are, of course, those who fought in the Haitian Revolution. And we've been talking for a long time in Haiti about women as water heroes, as heroes of the revolution against cholera and all other waterborne disease. Next slide, please. So in our way to wash, we're talking about empowering women for change. We're very aware that when solutions are entrusted to local power dynamics, local governance, whoever's stepped up and said, I'm in charge here, that there can be a lot of risk in that. And that things can change because there's always turnover of leadership in a local community. And so our first solution, the one that was referred to, our first attempt, I should say, it wasn't much of a solution, although it was great technology, but we entrusted it to local power, and it lasted about a week. And it was a kind of a small scale, but infrastructure kind of program. Cost us about $2,500. That was back in 2007, sorry. And again, it lasted about a week because we did not recognize or understand at that point the issues around local political power dynamics. Next slide, please. So I'd like to point out here that what we're really talking about is a human solution. A human solution. You know, we tend to look to technology for our solutions. And we can forget that without a strong human solution in place, and this is what ties us back to the idea of programming, without a strong human solution in place, our technology is going to be very, very vulnerable beyond its physical vulnerabilities, beyond the challenges of keeping infrastructure running and keeping, you know, what I call larger small scale solutions going with parts and replacements and new filters and all of that. Beyond all of that is the issue of whose heart is behind this solution. And when we have someone's heart behind that human solution, then we're talking about a human solution. And a human solution will endure. It will persist. Even if the technology breaks down, the human solution will then try to find a solution, another technology. Next slide, please. So actually, I just checked our GIS, which was also referred to. Forgive me, I'm out here in the wind. I just checked our GIS numbers a few minutes ago. We're up to over 153,000 mothers across the world. In this very simple Google map version, we're just showing the spread of our program. And we've had no problems with uptake for that. When we explain to mothers, we have a way that you can save the lives of your toddlers and those of your neighbors and your whole family, protect your entire family from waterborne illness. We are every day we turn women away from this solution, sadly. Next slide, please. So the secret of our solution really is that every mother who joins our Water Woman movement, she's going to make a commitment. It's going to be a sacred commitment, however she understands that, okay, in any religious expression. But she's going to make a sacred commitment to filter drinking water for 3 neighbor households. So that gives us a multiplier of 4 for our impact. And again, if you just take a moment to look at the beautiful gesture and the love that's evident in this picture here. Every mother's picture that we get like this has the same heartfelt, heartful kind of love for their child. And that's what makes them the ideal human solution. Next slide, please. So the Sawyer 0.1 filters, as I've said before, have proven to be ideal for our solution. We have water women who've been using the same filter since 2008. Next slide, please. That's a woman in India. And so in the hands of water women, that means each of our filters is going to supply clean water to a minimum of 12 people, more like 20. We're able to calculate that based on our GIS data technology as well, because we record, we are able to calculate average number of people per household in a given area, that kind of thing. But again, that's a powerful multiplier for impact. Next slide. So we train these water women. And actually what you're seeing here is one of our trainers, okay? And we always, by the way, use local women and some supporting men as well. But local people are the trainers in our program. So trained water women, that means about a 3.5 to 4 hour training that includes hands-on how to do maintenance. And that's what leads us to sustainability. I said to people probably tens of thousands of times in the last 10 years, if you give someone a filter and you give them more training, if you give them no training, you're very likely, you would be better off to just give them cash. It would have more impact. So we're going for sustainability, as all of us who are serious about WASH are going for. And with that, we're looking for a strong program where we're training women and giving them the foundation they need to understand the importance of this, to understand how to take care of it, understand how to give it regular maintenance. So here we have, again, a water woman trainer in Honduras. This is actually one of our very first trainers who's still with us since 2008. And she is demonstrating how to backflush a Sawyer filter. Next slide. So as I said before, uptake has never been a challenge for us. These are water women in Haiti, and they're holding up the little sign that we give them to put on their front door. And it says, "A hero water woman lives here," in Creole. And you can see on those faces that they mean it. Next slide, please. So as we referred to before, we have a very robust GIS data program. Those who don't understand or know about GIS, that's for Geographic Information Systems. And GIS allows us to collect data and correlate that to a GPS location within about a 5-meter degree of accuracy, as well as get a date timestamp. So it helps us, first of all, just verify our distribution. Next slide. Oops, I'm sorry. Last one, please. Okay. And I just wanted to show you there in that photo, you can see the arms and the phone and hands of one of our trainers, and he is getting the final registration of this woman who's just gone through her training, and he's including getting her picture, but he's doing all of this on a phone app. We do this through Sparrow Technology Solutions. That's our GIS managers. Next slide. So besides tracking distribution, and here you see the, like a sample of the data that we're collecting. Of course, it slides. There's a slide down there that you'd be able to see in an interactive map, and we have a lot more points of information. We're able to conduct follow-up evaluation, which is very important, of course, and we're able to report to funders. So this allows us to handle large-scale point-of-use household solutions in a responsible and accountable way. And I think that's one of the big challenges of point-of-use household, is how can you really be accountable for large scale? You can do it through GIS. Next slide, please. So here we have a really interesting couple of slides, this one and the next one, that are illustrating the impact of our program. So Water Women equipped and empowered and entrusted with cellular water filters. And this particular set of follow-up data was taken about a year after distribution in the north coast of Honduras. So the 2020 hurricanes in Honduras, just because of the situation, it took nearly a year later in some cases to get back into some of these communities. We distributed 5,000 there, and we did, I think, about close to 500 follow-up. So we were always trying to aim for a 10% at minimum. And we're seeing here that almost 82% of our households are reporting no health issues, no symptoms in the last 15 days when they were interviewed. So we've got a 2-week window here that we're checking on reporting of symptoms appearing in a household. So we have about 16%, 15.9, all these other symptoms are showing up. And you see there the number that we're the most proud of is in the red, very slim section of the pie chart, 2.12% reporting diarrhea in the family. And let's just review. These are people largely displaced after the hurricanes in Honduras, many still living in very, very challenging situations. And they're reporting 2.1% diarrhea in the last 2 weeks in their households. And I just have to say, I think that we'd be happy to see that in a North American household. That would be pretty good outcomes there. So we're especially proud of this. And if we could go to the next slide. Yeah. So here we have more close-up on those symptoms. So we've got, out of 500 data sets, we had 18 for diarrhea. Now we see something interesting here, which is a pretty high degree of cough and headache and sore throat. And this is when COVID was still very, hold on just a sec, sorry. Boy Scouts going by. This is when COVID was still very widespread in that area. So we can surmise that, headache, all that, we can see that. But we also see across the board, abdominal is 17, diarrhea 18. Those are our chief indicators of waterborne illness. Next slide, please. So again, our picture, oh, sorry, we've lost the picture, but that's the power of Water Women, 2.12% dealing with diarrhea in their households. That's our powerful metric. Next slide, please. So in conclusion, here's just a sampling, and I hope those of you who are attending in person can get a good look on a large screen at these many, many beautiful water women. And again, note there's that common body language of determination and love and tenderness for their children. We have stories, story upon story upon story for these women. And when we go back, they're still sharing their filters with families. They're so proud of their roles. We understand that women, especially young mothers, are what we consider the least tapped resource out there. So we want to talk about resources for sustainable solutions on any kind of need and addressing any particular need. Mothers are the great untapped resource. Next slide, please. So we're doing wash by women at the household level. We're doing wash-worthy programming. We're doing wash-worthy technology. Next slide. And we're getting wash-worthy outcomes. And this is what, we understand that all of us who are involved in WASH, this is our challenge, right? We want to get to wash-worthy outcomes. Next slide. So when you have wash-worthy goals that you'd like to discuss with us, we'd be happy to talk with you. I've asked that this slideshow be made available as well. There's a QR code, I think, going around, or if you just want to jot down info@waterwithblessings.org and be in touch with us. We're based in Louisville, Kentucky. Next slide. And then we have special opportunities that we're hoping to match Rotary clubs in the U.S. with 4 Rotary clubs in Uganda. We're still looking for those matching clubs for these Ugandan clubs, but these are remarkable clubs and they're very, very eager to do Water with Blessings. Our cost per water woman right now is right at $75. So we work on a kind of sponsorship model, and we price all this out based on that $75 level. Remember, that's $75 for 4 families. And so this allows Rotary clubs that want to do international projects that just simply don't have the resources or the capacity to get to large scale infrastructure projects. We can work with a Rotary club for just a few $1,000s and help them make a huge difference in the lives of many, many people. I think there might be one more slide yeah, I think that might have been our last. We do have other slides on this, but I believe my time is up. If we have a few more minutes, I'm not sure if we're going to Q&A or if I could show some maps about our work in Haiti. If anyone's interested, especially in GIS and seeing the interactive maps.
Can you hear me? Oh, there we go. Sorry.
Yes, I hear you now.
Thank you so much, Sister Lorraine. I'll pass it over to Patrice.
Echoing Charlotte, thank you so much, Sister Lorraine.
And thank you to all of you. Thanks for the heart that you have for water.
I think we're just all awestruck at the impact that you've had around the world. And I loved when you said, just look at the mothers and just the compassionate care that they have when they're literally seeing their children drink clean water, probably for the first time. So God bless you and all you do. You're making the world a better place.
We're all doing that together. Water with Blessings is a big we. The WASH community is a big we. Let's all work together.
Well, Charlotte has offered, yes, very much so. Charlotte has offered to bring the microphone around. Who has a great question for Sister? I see this woman in the beautiful purple Walk for Sudan.
Could you talk a little bit more about the filter systems you're using, where you get them, how they work, the efficiency?
Sure. We use the Sawyer 0.1 filters. I'm going to get someone to bring one over to me. Lara, could you get me a filter, please? So they are designed with some fitment hardware to hang off of buckets, so they work by gravity. They're these just little small, about the size of an empty toilet paper roll filters. They're designed to be back flushed, so we just take the lid off here. Can you just take that lid off? And turn them upside down this way and flush them back through with clean water. And they're guaranteed for 3 million gallons. So It's, and as I said, we've had these filters in the hands of women since 2007. Aside from some maintenance issues, which we've managed to hold down really quite well with solid programming, we've never made replacements. We tell people you get one filter and then we have to go on to the next person in need. And they really stay on top of it.
Anybody else? Oh, there you go.
Sister Lorraine, it sounds like for $3.75 per person, you can prevent diarrhea for what, 15 years? Is that correct calculation?
We know at this point we're at, let's see, since 2008. So working on 14 years. I think we'll make 15 years with these original filters, if not longer. Nobody's come and said this filter is no longer working. So that's pretty amazing to us. And yes, I'd like to just add to that in Haiti, for example, where cholera, heartbreakingly, we've got cholera breaking out again. But during unless it's around 2017, when there were some pretty good sized cholera outbreaks, we use this methodology to stop cholera, to completely eradicate cholera in 12 different communes. So we go pretty much wall to wall through a commune. For those who don't know, in Haiti, it's like a municipality, small county, really. Pretty much gone wall to wall, making sure that everyone is within striking distance of a water woman. So 25% of the households in a commune having a water woman, and there's no more cholera when we do that. And we've gone into places where cholera was active, where cholera clinics were full, and like in Cornillon, that was probably the worst of those cases, and been able to stop cholera. Again, for $3.75 a person. Thank you.
Heidi?
I wanted to ask about the Sparrow data collection methodology that you use, platform that you use. Why did you choose that? I know there's a number of different data collection platforms. Why did you choose that, and what have you found beneficial? And if you wanted to show your Honduras maps, that would be interesting.
Well, first of all, that particular company really offered us a very professional level. So we're actually using the Esri software for that, which is, as I understand it, the top level, kind of the Mercedes-Benz of GIS. So that was a big thing to us, even though we were new to GIS at the time when we started it in 2017. We wanted to be at a very professional level there, and we wanted to have someone who's able to work with us as complete beginners in GIS and really guide us through for a very reasonable amount of money. So it's been a really great solution. We're as nonprofits, and any of you as nonprofits, we're able to access nonprofit pricing for Esri licenses, which it's a huge discount. But to do that, we had to be able to apply through Sparrow or through somebody like Sparrow, because they're not giving those licenses out just to people who just want to learn on them. You have to be able to demonstrate that you're serious about using GIS and making use of those licenses in a responsible way. And there's a lot to managing, creating the surveys, managing the data, protecting the data, all of that. That's beyond the capacity of a small nonprofit like ourselves. We have the capacity to use it and to collect, obviously. But then there's a lot behind the scenes that we have to entrust to experts.
Any other questions out there? Sister, I have a question. I'm just wondering, You know, when I love the spirit of water women, I love the concept, but oftentimes in the third world, they might not connect with the internet. I know a couple of my water partners are having difficulty today connecting to the Zoom. And I am just wondering if you've had any breakdown in collections, how that hierarchy works to encourage people to continue to participate.
Okay, so first of all, the collection is done on cell phone app, and it can be done off the grid. In fact, it kind of works a little best. You know, we even tell people just disconnect from your cell service, collect the data, get back on, and upload. Okay, so in terms of being off grid, that's not an issue at all. As I'm sure you're aware, it's surprising who actually has a cell phone out there, although the connectivity may be not up to what we would hope. But still, we're able to very successfully do that. The only time that we really need a higher level kind of connectivity is that we train groups overseas. Like I'm getting ready to do that with a group in Peru. I'm very proud of a group that we got started in Zambia that we've never been to Zambia. We've never met these people personally, but through word of mouth, they came to us and they had a funder, and we got on Zoom with them, even though it was rocky at times. And we were able to train a team and including train them in the use of GIS, data collection. And they're off and running. They've been doing beautifully.
Congratulations. I see a gentleman over here. Do you see Charlotte?
Yes, I'm just coming, and I think this will be our last question. Thank you.
Well, Charlotte is going over there. Sister, if you have a copy of that grant proposal that was used in Uganda, if you wouldn't mind sharing that with Steve Werner.
Okay.
I think there's probably lots of people, like they're interested in seeing a copy of that. I'm always about sharing and not recreating the wheel. I would like to see that. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. We'll be in touch on that.
Mr. Lorraine, thanks for the great work and presentation. I don't know if I missed this in your talk, but how do you handle water quality, especially microbial contamination? I know your soil filters are working well because the barrier is reduced, but do you do any form of testing for water quality?
I'm having a little trouble
around testing for water quality.
Hold just a moment. Debbie? Sorry. I'm out here trying to deal with an intertribal at the same time. My apologies. And that's a great question. We are all aware of the difference between biologically contaminated water and chemically contaminated water. And there are situations, for example, we have now over 1,000 households in eastern Kentucky since the flooding in late July that have very eagerly embraced this solution. That flooding in eastern Kentucky just revealed a lot of inequities for people right here in the U.S., as well as like our work in the Navajo Nation. And both of those situations, there's a lot of concern for mine runoff. In those cases, what we do, and we test when that's possible, but a lot of times people already know it's been tested, okay? Then if there's a situation with mine runoff, which of course a filter of this kind will not remove, then we work with people to set up rainwater solutions, rainwater harvesting, even on a pretty small scale. Rainwater can be a great source of drinking water. There might not, in the Navajo Nation, we're down to about 1 inch of annual rainfall. That's not enough to grow crops, but that's enough to harvest for human drinking water. And so a lot of times that's what we're looking at, really with that. But we do have people who do testing. We don't really start with testing, to be honest, because we're we're invited into places like rural communities in Haiti and Honduras, where people have no other option but the groundwater or rainwater if they can do it, or even well water. You know, wells can be a great vector for disease, unfortunately. Just the pump handle of a well can be a great vector for cholera. And they know, and we know, the water is contaminated. So we just move in there with these filters.
Well, I think Charlotte wants us to wrap up. Sister Lorraine, God bless you once again, and just grateful to have you here today. Let's hear it for Sister Lorraine once more. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Thanks for hanging in there with me from this unusual broadcasting spot. In touch. Bye for now.